everyone. Very good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. This is a great show. Welcome to the virtual happy hour experience with the Drunken Grape. I'm your host, Rob, and weekly we have brilliant guests talking about brilliant things, extraordinary drinks with extraordinary people. And today's theme is a hot one. It's the real estate market. Now, my guest is special because not only is he very well versed in the commercial or the Canadian real estate market, he has global experience from Eastern Europe and his time in Russia. And his insights are incredible. He's an entrepreneur. He's a podcaster. He's a visionary. And he's also a great friend of mine. Welcome to the happy hour, Andre Meadow. It's great to have you, buddy. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate this. Always good to see you. And I just wanted to quickly say congrats on all the amazing success, man. I'm following you on YouTube. I'm seeing what you're doing with the Drunken Grape, and hats off for really capitalizing on a great time during this pandemic for the people that decided to go virtual, because this is really the new standard going forward, I think. So congrats on that, man.
Hey, thank you. And I couldn't agree with you more. You take a look at the event structure, for instance. You used to have 1,000 dignitaries flying from all over the world. And say in Ottawa here, where it's a tech center, a tech town, as well as a government town, you may have 400 or 500 of them from Ottawa. What's going to happen now is those same 400 or 500 people are going to get together when things open up. We know that's going to happen. Live entertainment has to come back. But do you really think companies are going to pay for all those flights now? Are they going to pay for those hotel stays anymore? I can just go, no, not a single chance. I mean, I remember reading, and this is astronomical, on corporate travel alone, Google saved over $1 billion a year during the pandemic on travel.
Wow. That's a big number.
$1 billion.
That's a big number. But you're right. I mean, listen, if the companies can save money and the employee can be just as productive, online, virtual, why not, right? I mean, it's the same information. It's the same content. If anything, it could be even more productive depending how creative you want to get. It's all about that attention span. It's all about the engagement. The opportunities are there. So I say, why not?
Now, talking about that, you've got a rich real estate background. You've got a rich sales background. Entrepreneurship just boils like a broth in your blood. I'm thinking you really have expanded on this. I know you have your YouTube channel that highlights all the features of Ottawa. You talk about pogo stands and beaver tails and attractions in the city, and what also makes it appealing for real estate investors. So tell us a little bit, Andre, as we wheel into all these things during the happy hour, how did you get started into this field?
So it's actually an interesting story. Before real estate, I was over in Moscow, Russia, where I'm originally from. And we got ourselves involved with some partners on a couple of food concepts, a Mexican concept and a chicken wing concept. So Mexican and Western.
No way.
And what we were able to do was actually open several locations, get kind of, get our hands dirty, play around with the recipes. Everything is made in-house. We got a business plan going. We got into the hiring employees and really just seeing how everything functions. And when I came back to Ottawa, the plan was, hey, you know what? This concept that we have in Moscow, costs of goods are so low. It's pretty easy. We have a format. Why don't we try it out here? I mean, how bad can it be, right? Chicken wings, fresh sauces, appetizers, beer to go with it. It's got to be that perfect combination, right? So I spent about 1.5 years in Ottawa trying to find that first location to try out our concept. And what ended up happening was we couldn't find anything. 1.5 years in Ottawa, we were actually very surprised. Now, we were surprised that the rents were very high. We were very surprised that there were more terms and favors for the landlord than the tenant. And the third part that really surprised us was the agents that were working here doing commercial were not very engaged in a relationship kind of basis, if you know what I mean. It's more about get the tenant in, sign the documents, get out, the job is done. So I went to the partners and I said, you know what, listen, there's got to be a different side of real estate in Ottawa. There has to be. We're missing something. Why don't I get licensed and I'll find out what's happening on the other side as a real estate agent? I got to have some inside information that obviously the tenants don't or the public doesn't. So I actually ended up fast tracking my license because I come from a commercial background. a little bit of leasing, a little bit of development. Living in a big city, seeing how these projects were made gave me that kind of inside track to speed up the process. Did really great on my exams, got licensed in just over a year. And the minute I got licensed, I joined a brokerage and I said, all right, I'm ready to get into commercial. It took me about 2 weeks to realize that I don't want to be in commercial. I want to be in residential. And that's just from my background of, being in the restaurant industry, socializing with people, talking with people. That's really kind of what I like to do. And the commercial side of that, it's missing it, right? It's a little bit more on the dry side. It's a little bit more paperwork. It's a little bit more technical. Residential real estate is still the biggest sector in Ottawa. And that's where I got a chance to, get myself established, build a sphere, reach out to my past contacts, my old friends, reestablish those relationships. And that gave me that push to get going because I do like to talk. And that's one of the reasons why I do podcasts. That's one of the reasons why I do YouTube. It's all about getting your face out there, but it's also giving you an opportunity to share some easy content, right? I mean, if you're not a lover of Ottawa, where you live, I don't think you're going to be a successful person. If you're not bragging about how cool your city is and the cool spots you should be checking out, then I think you're missing the point, right? So that's kind of the approach I took. Now, both me and you, last time we talked, or the first time we talked when I had you as a guest on my podcast, we talked about the opportunity going virtual. And I think me and you both did that because we just saw the opportunity to do that. So that's kind of, where I started, what it took me to get there, and where we're at today. And it's social media for me. It's podcasting. I love hearing people's stories. The podcasts are not about me. The podcasts are about the other person. It's about easy, free exposure because everybody has a different story, right? I mean, everybody's unique and different, and people have their own challenges. And, I just love hearing those stories and then being able to share with other people. So that's kind of where I am right now.
Yeah. And, as I crack this fine beverage and Indian Pale Ale, we'll talk about that shortly. First of all, Andre, cheers to you. Cheers to the viewers. Happy hour, baby. You got to love it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Pretty good. Nice and bitter. Hoppy.
Yeah.
The way I like my IPAs. Bit of caramel and burnt toffee, a little bit of caramel and toffee notes in there. It's got this beautiful, might as well talk about this. It's got this beautiful honeyed characteristic to it. It's a creamy, foamy, frothy head. Get notes of things like grapefruit on the nose, a bit of pininess on the palate. You've got that nice bitter but opulent fruit. It's got some body to it, some breadiness to it. Always enjoyable IPAs. We'll get into the history of that in a minute. But getting back into what we're talking about, on the happy hour here, you hit a bunch of things. And one of the things that really struck a chord with me was transactional versus relational or relationship selling. And we're both from Ottawa. Like, I'm not born here. You weren't born here either. I'm on the East Coast from Halifax. You come from Moscow. So, and I'm also a first generation Canadian. My mother came from Guyana, South America. So we're not natively from here. And one of the things I've always noted about Ottawa, and one hole in the game of Ottawa, is a lot of businesses are very transactionally based here. They just want to get the paperwork, sign, hustle, shoot you out the door, and they just care about their commission or their wallet. And what we've seen is a massive landscape change. There is a definite paradigm shift going on. People want relationships. People want to know you care about them. People want to see the body and the composition of your work, which brings me to the podcast. And you're so right. Just like this podcast, this show, yes, it's my format, but it's not about me. It's about the guests that come on this show. Like, without guest content and cool content to talk about, and you think of Joe Rogan and his fabulous podcast, It's about the guest. And one common chord you always have with your guests is alignment. You got to align with your people that come on the show, but we definitely do align, and we align in a lot of ways. And what you said about having the restaurant background, putting your feelers out for commercial real estate here, looking at the food business options, and then realizing it wasn't for you, that residential real estate was indeed much better for you, was a great shift. And putting it into the personal context, you're right, because you're allowed to have your relationship shine there. Home buyers, once they get to trust you, you basically have them and their core family for life, for the life that you're an agent, and for the life that they're alive and buying and flipping and selling houses. They trust you. And there's a few of you that are doing great things. The virtual tours, you have your whole YouTube channel. And you're right. If you don't talk about the city that you're in a positive way, as far as selling the assets of that city, which is housing in your case, shift cities, go somewhere that you love to be.
Yep.
There's a lot to love about Ottawa. Yes, it's a bit dry and it can be a bit boring, but listen, it's a clean city. It's a safe city. There is always going to be a stability of the economy here. Even if half the government workers were laid off tomorrow, which could easily happen with the change in government and debt load, that's still well over 120,000 people consistently employed at high 5-digit into low 6-digit incomes that are guaranteed. That is always going to stabilize the economy. It's a beautiful city. If you want outdoor activity, this city kicks ass. I mean, hiking and biking, kayaking, swimming, and cottaging explodes in the summer. In the winter, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, downhill skiing, tobogganing, going to the Sugar Shack, all sorts of other cool things take off in the winter. And there are people who do winter cottaging here. You can go hiking into the hills and the mountains just nearby. So this just makes it a great community for families. Now, if you're watching this as a viewer from around other parts of the world, this city should be on your checklist. It should be on your checklist if you want to buy a family dwelling, or if you're looking to make some investment into investment grade real estate, because Canada's a rich economy. It's going to be prosperous. It is a prosperous nation. And you're going to the heart and the seat of government where there's always consistency and there's always stability. And correct me if I'm wrong, but are these not the things that are these not the things that make you really passionate about the city itself?
100%. And you nailed it, right? It's stability, right? It's, a big percentage of population working for the government that has sustainable jobs, that has sustainable incomes that are protected, right? Especially during times that we've been going through for the last 15 months. It's a city that's on the forefront to expand. Population growth, right? 400,000 residents in the next 25 years. The possibilities, the opportunities for employment, for new companies to enter, for Ottawa to be put on an international map as a city, public transportation, the list goes on. I mean, I'm just happy that I'm a part of this while it's happening, while it's transitioning.
Yeah.
Yes, there are problems with the government. Some people are happy, some people are not. Those issues will get resolved. But the biggest point is
exactly
there is one vision, and that vision is to grow, right? So, we got to be put on the map. And I think it's gonna happen soon. And you know what? That goes towards real estate as well too. That's what makes it a sustainable market, right? It's not a market that's just going to crash. There are a lot of positive factors that support what's happening here. And you want to be part of that market. You want to know that you're buying a home and it's going to appreciate year over year. And down the road, it's going to build some equity. And what can you do with equity? You can do a lot. So knowing that you can purchase something and have those options, I'm all for it. And I brag about those all the time.
Yeah, and it's a sizable asset. Once you own a house, there's a million things you can do with it. It's also just the diversity of landscape here too. You can be in the suburbs, you can be in the downtown core. There's waterfront property here that's awesome. There's cottage country that decorates all around the city that's phenomenal into Quebec and on the Ontario side. Even then, we're talking about prices. Yes, we're in a bubble right now. I think we all know that. But one thing that will be fixed first, if you take a look at urban planning, it'll be all the major cities, especially a city that's the seat of government. They're going to open things up because we know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I listened to a whole discussion on this the other day on real estate. And one of the big problems with high-rise condos is a lot of immigrants and people who are moving in here and first-time owners don't want to own those anymore. They want to move into homes. There's a trend for having backyards again. Now, we do have a housing shortage in that area in the meantime and building supplies, but a lot of that was scuttled because of the pandemic and lockdowns and shutdowns. And I do believe in your shared optimism. Prices will come back down a bit. And that's going to be as a result of more building. Building is going to take off. And you're right. This city is not slowing down. The amount of urban development that has taken place, even I look back, we've known each other almost 20 years. Think of the 20 years that we've known each other and how much has changed. Oh, yeah. You have the whole Lansdowne community. You have Westboro. You have Beechwood. You have Vanier being upgraded and turning from what was an eyesore into some very attractive and lucrative opportunities. You have the downtown core being revitalized. You have the O train. It's a bit of a debacle, but they got to fix that. But that's here to stay. You have transportation issues being fixed. You have more roads coming along. And what are we at now? About 1.5 million people in this area. So in a short window of time, we're going to be looking at two plus million people in this region. And it's not slowing down. And it's a great time to come in and buy at any time, really, in an environment that has stability. It doesn't go up and down like most other cities because their economy is all tied to the private sector. This one's tied to, the operation of government may trim back, but it will never cease to exist. And that actually makes Ottawa a precious gem for property buying and owning.
100%. And, yes, people want options, and there will be options. As we get more inventory in the market, the buyer will have options, right? Yes, there's going to be more condos built in the future. Once you expand out, you can only go up. That makes sense, but that's a little bit, way down the road. But you got baby boomers that are going to be retiring. We're expecting, older style homes to come onto the market. And you'd be surprised that a lot of families now, they're not looking for 2-story homes. They're actually looking for, 1-story homes, which makes sense, right?
Bungalows.
So it's going to give people options, and options are always good. The more inventory we get onto the market, the more the prices are going to stabilize and not going to jump. Buyers aren't going to just run towards one property like we saw the first part of this year. It was absolute insanity. This is the first time in the history of Ottawa's market we saw that type of aggressiveness. And it was there. But it was also, like you mentioned, because people now have the option to expand. Do I have to be downtown, or can I be rural? Do I have to be in suburbia, or, the options are there. The lifestyle and the living has changed now. Employment has changed now. Some companies are giving you the option of never coming back to work. Some people are saying, well, okay, I guess I don't have to live in Toronto. I can move to Ottawa. And we are, for the first time, our newest category of buyers are the out-of-towners. And they are taking advantage of our market because it's an undervalued, underpriced market. Now, they're cashing out on their expensive properties. They're leaving the metropolis city lifestyle, and they're coming to Ottawa. And to the local people like us, we're kind of like, well, it can be a busy city, but to them coming from Toronto, it's cottage country. Now, don't forget, they're cashing out their expensive properties. They're coming in here. They can essentially buy two for the price of one, right? So the options are there. And then, of course, future immigration. And there's a lot of planned immigration that's coming. And they are coming with money, and they are coming to live and build a life and have kids, and then, become a second, a third, a fourth generation. The plan is there. And one thing I also wanted to mention that a lot of people are forgetting, you mentioned briefly, there are so many applications that are being submitted by builders to expand, right? So suburbia right now, east, west, south, the developments are nonstop, and they're trying to catch up to the pace of the demand. Now, remember, you can only build so fast, right? So this is where you have to be patient, but the plans are there. The plan right now for Ottawa is for the next 25 years, and it's started and it's happening very, very actively. So,
yeah, and you can really see it. It's just by the naked eye of being here. You just come here. You say you came here just a few short years ago. You were watched out in the South End around Riverside Drive expand, out in Orleans, into townships expanding. You've got Carleton Place, where that highway, the 7 used to go winding around. Now they built this straight highway that's 20 kilometers faster. So it went to an 80 to 100 kilometer an hour zone. You can drive there in 25 minutes from downtown, or 30 minutes from downtown Ottawa. And you can see the urban development coming along the way. And this is not going to go away. This is only going to ramp up. And that's the other part. There's a pile of areas just outside of Ottawa, and you likely deal with them with the firm that you're part of, Panda Realty. That it's a Blue Panda Realty, right? Is that it?
Yeah, Blue Panda Realty. Yeah.
Great firm, and great to deal with. There's Greg Campbell and company over there. Big shout out to him. He's doing some amazing things with his real estate podcast. But there's a lot of opportunity for people looking to contact you about moving into the more rural areas, because part of the thing is they're not going to be that rural for too much longer. This is going to be just an extension into the city. It's just going to become another suburb. But what that does is it gives you a boom in equity, gives you a boom in growth and capital, gives you a boom in opportunity. And that's just an intelligent way to go. You could probably save a few pennies over living in the city right now,
Yep.
But it's going to quickly catch up to the valuation of the city over time, because there's only a ceiling people are willing to pay.
Of course.
But that ceiling hasn't been nearly reached out in places like Carleton Place, Rockland to the east end. For those of you listening to this who aren't from Ottawa, which would be a lot of you on this show, pull on a map. The Ottawa area is huge, and it offers a lot of things. I think we have the largest outdoor skating rink in the world. There's ski hills nearby. There's resort nearby. Montreal, one of the best culinary and party cities in the world, is a 2-hour trek away by car, and it's an easy drive. I mean, there's just a myriad of options living in this city. Now, looking at your other experience, have you been approached by any international buyers? Because you have international real estate experience, which actually separates you from probably 99.9% of the residential real estate experts in this city right now.
Absolutely. And some of the people that I still frequently keep in touch with are my contacts from my past experience of work, whether it's in Russia, in Europe, or the States. And there are people that are eyeing Canada for the simple reason that Canada is a safe, stabilized country. And they do understand that, we have so many rules, which are good, a lot of regulations, which are good, but essentially that gives protection to the investment that you're thinking of doing. So definitely, we've had some of my past clients include people from United Arab Emirates, from the States, and that have made the journey down here. I've had gentlemen from South Africa that's moved here. Now, some don't get into the market right away. Some will rent just to wait and see what's happening, and that's something that we definitely recommend. We never push anybody on a big transaction, right? So you want to feel the atmosphere. You want to live in the city a little bit, get a taste for it, whether it's a couple of months, whether it's a year, there are options for that. So, but the whole point, it's like when you're going to go see a home, right? I mean, the search starts online. We get it, right? And we'll do our best to give you, the technology available right now is amazing to give you as much as I can to mimic what's on the inside. But it's until you get inside and get a feel for it, and imagine your lifestyle and have your kids there with you, and then go home and sleep on it, wake up and be like, that's the place where I want to be. That's what counts. So we always try to get you inside for that final product to really feel for it and see what it's all about. And that includes your the neighborhood and the schools nearby, the amenities, which is very important. And that's something also that I want to mention about Ottawa is that these neighborhoods, the mature neighborhoods and the new development neighborhoods, are all planned very precise in terms of transit nearby, amenities nearby, essentially almost walking distance. And that when families and first-time home buyers realize that, that's essentially a full-time package, because they're designing it so you're living it in a radius of 5-10 kilometers and you don't have to go anywhere else for anything. Everything is available for you. So that's very important. And there's a lot of families in Ottawa, and there's a lot of families moving to Ottawa, and that's on their wish list. That's on their top priorities always.
Yeah, no, and I just switched the view to gallery view so the viewers can see us both side by side talking now. Just some quick notes on housekeeping here, of course. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this channel. The Drunken Grape on YouTube. You can always hit me up at info@thedrunkengrape.com. Check out the website at thedrunkengrape.com. Now, to go to Andre, to get a hold of Andre, I believe it's Andre at themeadowgroup.com. And I'm going to share all the notes of where you can find Andre on Facebook, LinkedIn, his direct email address, the website to the company, because I think it's very important. Yes, drinks expose a lot of happiness and joy, and we share good times here, but it's also important to have a format of an intelligent discussion. And, the biggest purchase people are going to make in their lives is their home. And it's fundamental that we have this discussion, and we have this discussion as part of the virtual happy hour experience with the Drunken Grape. Now, talking a bit about that too, Andre, virtual tours, I imagine these have really taken off as well. And it's a boon for you, and it's a boon for the client. It's a boon for the client because they can check out 24/7. They can check out what's in that house, what's around the surrounding neighborhood. I know you're brilliant at videography and editing. You produce some excellent videos. They're very smooth. They flow. They really capture the essence of everything's around you. And the other part about it too is if you're a real estate agent or you're looking to get into this industry, this is going to free up a lot of time from live showings. Now, the other part is as a live showing, I know that there's a tech out there now. I, as a consumer, no longer want to drive all day long to a pile of live showings. I want to see what's available first online. I want to see the virtual tour. And what a smart person would do is narrow down their choices to 3 communities they really want to live in. Then you drive out to see the live showings that way. And I think that is a huge advance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a massive advance in your industry as well. And it's a massive advance for both you and the client as far as time savings, because we know time's your most precious asset. Certainly not money. You know, you're not going to go, damn it, I wish to work another hour. Where's that extra $10,000 in my bank account on your deathbed? You're going to look back at the time you used and the time you used effectively and be happy or not with that. And this really helps crunch that. So what else have you, I imagine the podcast is taking off well for you. I find that highly innovative. You know, again, if you're a real estate professional listening to this, Andre's got some great insights. You're also part of a weekly live Facebook discussion. Tell us a little bit about that. I know there's Erica Vincelli, who handles the mortgage side, and you bring other guests on the set. So tell us a little bit about that journey as well, because this really enhances what you have to offer as a professional.
So I started the Meadowview podcast, and the idea was to, how can I get guests on here? What are we going to talk about? What's the format? So obviously a little bit of trial and error, sign up to a platform that was easy to navigate, easy for the guest to use as well. Essentially, all I do is just send you a link. You click on that link and I import you right into my computer, right into my browser, and we go from there. Now, the idea was, okay, are we going to do this pre-recorded? Are we going to do this a little bit more interesting? What we found was the first couple of months of the pandemic, when we were starting to be locked down, people were at home, but they were online. Online activity increased, if not by double or triple right away. So how could you get those people to engage with you? How can you get those people to kind of look at you? So we said, hey, let's start doing, and the person I'm referring to is Erica Vincelli with the Mortgage Advisors, because she has an industry that is tied to real estate very closely, right? It starts with the real estate agent. The next step is the lender. And after that is the lawyer. So I have a direct relationship where we work together and we take our clients through a step-by-step process. So we said,
that's awesome.
We said, hey, how can we, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? We said, well, listen, let's go live. Let's start talking about topics. Let's start answering questions, FAQs, or what's a mortgage? What's a variable rate? Common terms that are used so often, but we realized a lot of people probably don't really know them. So we started something called The Market Beat. And that just is a 15-minute podcast once a week, talking about what's happening in the real estate market and the mortgage market. And if you think about it, you can really break it down into a bunch of different topics, because there's so much in there that you can talk, you can break down the mortgage terms, talk about the current rate for the week. And we started getting a flow going, and we started getting some good feedback, and people were engaged. They were subscribing to us, and they were waiting for us to go live. They were sending us questions. And most importantly, they would send us questions for next week's episode saying, hey, can you talk about this? Or how does this work? I'm not sure. Can you confirm that? So the content almost naturally started to kind of create itself. And then our job was to get it out there and in simple terms, explain what it is. So it's a very kind of, it's a question-based podcast. Again, the platform that I use, I'm very happy with it. I can pop the questions right on the screen. People can follow along. And then I would always step in as well, too, with what's happening in the housing market updates, what's the average sold price last year, type of homes, the categories, enough just to keep the consumer aware of what's happening, because the last 15 months, it's very important to keep a track on what's happening, because it does change weekly and monthly, right? So it's just more about being an informative broker, right? It's providing information to the people that are searching online, but in the live format. That's all. And I think it makes it a little bit more engaging, because they see who you are, how you talk, how you behave, which is very important. And it's unscripted. And we're not hiding behind anything. It's just ourselves having conversations, just like me and you are doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's great because, you and Erica do a great job. It's awesome that you bring in a mortgage specialist. I know she works tirelessly to really satisfy and meet the needs of her clients. And you're right. And the number one thing when you look to do any business with someone's alignment, I mean, we're not for everybody, right? But the whole key to a lot of this is when people get to see who you are and how you are, you will pull like a fishnet. It'll pull in people that gravitate to your style. And that's what you want to work with. And this is the beauty of being an entrepreneur. we're not employees. We get to pick who we work with, when we want to work, and how we want to get the work done. And this, I'm going to take this time too to shout out to a couple other realtors in the market. I know the Ritchie twins do some good work with their videos. There's Ross Tavel that was doing the haunted house stuff. That was hilarious. It comes in, you're woo in the house. There's like a shift of a ghost and stuff, just as theatrics. And it's like, instead of scaring people, it humored them into buying. And there's a lot of tricks, but what's beautiful is that there's a few of you that are grabbing the bull by the horns on this opportunity right now. And this extends beyond just real estate. I mean, real estate is a great example because you have the physical structure, right? You can look, touch, feel. And that is paramount to any buying opportunity out there. Physical assets are always going to be the most precious. That includes physical bullion like silver and gold as well. To an extent over crypto because it's physically in your palms. I mean, crypto has huge assets too, or we can get into that whole different discussion. The fact that you have borderless purchasing power and you can carry something around and effectively something like a little, you got this little USB key, but real estate has this magic. And the magic of it is you can always touch it. You can always occupy it. You can always manipulate it. Once it's yours, you can do whatever you want with the actual structure, as long as it's not a heritage home. And even then, there's still quite a bit you can do to the interior. You can't just demolish the exterior. The house has to basically, I believe, look similar to it. And that's the other thing. Ottawa is right full of these awesome heritage homes. So if somebody wants to buy a piece of history, this is a great city to do it.
Yep.
So Andre, what are you drinking? You got to get to the drinking part.
All right. So listen, I love beer. It's no secret. And I got a Warsteiner German Pilsner, and I've been hooked on Pilsners for a while now. I just find them really refreshing, super crisp. It's got that dry finish to it. It's not too heavy. I do love my lagers. I love my wheat beers as well too. But the last little while, it's definitely been German Pilsners. There's tons of them. LCBO beer store, check them out. I love to experiment and taste. Something that I'd like to try a little bit more of are obviously the Ontario craft beers. I think I have to find someone that has the expertise. Wink, wink, Rob, and point me in the right direction. Because with craft beer, I find that there's just so many options. I don't know where to start. But once if it's a German beer, you're limited to the amount that Canada imports. So we have enough to choose from. But with Ontario craft, it's almost like every time I'm in the aisle, it's where do I start, right? So, but
and the beautiful, yeah, you're right. And the beauty of beer is not as reliant on terroir as wine. I mean, wine, you've got to mimic a lot of things. You got to mimic growing conditions to create similar styles from old world to new world. With beer, as long as you got a fresh water source, and we've got tons of that now. You don't have to worry about that so much anymore. A brewery's all an internal operation. You could be in Nunavut brewing fantastic beer as long as you get a hold of the proper hops and malts to go with it. In the case of that Bavarian style beer, Germany follows this neat thing called a purity law that launched in May of 1516. So you need water, hops, and yeast were the main ingredients. They weren't, and water, hops, malt, and yeast. They weren't familiar with yeast until 1857 with Louis Pasteur. But those are the four main ingredients that control beer. Now that style, it's a beautiful style of a lager because Pilsners are more crisp. They have that dry bite. They still preserve some effervescence on the palate. They have this wonderful golden color in a glass. Yeah. They tend to have this grassy, buttery taste to them. They tend to use things like Saz and Spalt, which are the noble hop varieties, which are earthy and grassy. They don't have these pungent flavors, so it's more subtle. The beautiful thing about it is you got some hot presence in a beer like that. So it's got a bit of a bitter bite to it. It carries weight, carries body, and it's brilliant. I mean, if you're watching this, great beers to recommend locally. I know Big Rig does a great job with their Pilsner. Dominion City Brewing is an excellent brewer. I'm pretty sure they got some great Pilsners popping up here and there. One of my personal favorites, Floral Hall Brewing, they definitely carry a great Pils. And it's a great beer style because it's diverse in what you can pair it with. You could have things like pork schnitzel. You could have it with chicken, white fish. You can drink it on its own. You can chug it with chicken wings. You can have it with spicy food. I mean, the myriad of list goes on and on and on. And Pilsners are really a dynamic style. It's one of the most probably the most successful beer styles ever created out of Pilsen in the Czech Republic in 1842. It was, I believe, Joseph Groll that came up with that particular style. What I'm drinking here is an Indian Pale Ale. It's a Canadian version. It's Bose Brewery. They are, I believe, our largest craft brewer now in Ontario, perhaps one of the largest in Canada, wildly successful. Yeah, so this one is organic. It uses local spring water, organic hops and malts. It's barley malts in this one. It's got a honey color. We're mentioning a bit of a haze. There's always a little haziness to an IPA. It tends to be a bit high in alcohol. We're over 6%. It's sharp, it's crisp. Yeah, it's dry. It's got a bit of a bite of acidity to it. It's always those piney and bitter notes, the grapefruit notes. It's usually Chinook Cascade. I'm trying to remember the other name of the hop strain, but that's the Centennial. It's the 3 C's that go into this. This style was really part of the West Coast brewing explosion that propelled all of North America. Started with Sierra Nevada Brewing Company in California, shot up into Horseshoe Bay Brewing in 1982. From 79 to 82, this movement just took over because people were sick and tired of the crap that Molson's and Miller and Coors and Labatt were producing. It's true. Yeah, these cheap beers, they were caught cutting costs. The quality at the time was terrible. In fact, the quality is better today than it was then because craft brewing forced the big guys to improve everything they were doing as well. It's big enough now that it's probably only worldwide 7 to 8% of the market, but an 8% market share can turn into a 38% market share if you don't pay attention. I mean, it's got economy of scale now to come and bite at you. So these are great beers. If you're watching this show, crack a drink, have a smile, have a laugh. This is what we're about. We're coming to the end here. This has been a great third session, episode 3. Again, you can always reach out to me at info@thedrunkengrape.com too. I'm going to have the show notes in here. We're going to have notes, of course, to Andre, you've been a fabulous guest. There's going to be notes about how they can reach out to you. I absolutely love what you're doing across the board with media, how you literally brought the whole real estate market to the media. And you were one of the first, you're actually the first one I know that hit the gas pedal on that one, just drove forward hard. And then there's Greg Campbell, and Erica Vincelli, and the Ritchie twins on the other end. They're doing some great things on video too. They use Facebook as a medium, for instance, and they're very effective with it. Listen, you've been a fabulous guest, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. Hope you enjoyed this experience. The happy hour, it comes on live at 3:15, premieres on YouTube tomorrow, on Wednesday or Thursday. So the Wednesday is today, so it is tomorrow for the shooting of this. It also goes on to social media at 3:30 sharp. So we do record everything in advance. It's just easier for me to manipulate it that way. Just talk a bit about this personal journey. Whatever you decide to do, ladies and gentlemen, have an absolutely sensational day. This is Andre Meadow from the Meadow Group and Rob from the Drunken Grape.
Cheers, guys.